The numbers don't lie, Patriots, and right now they're telling a story that has the Harris campaign in absolute panic mode. The latest betting odds from Polymarket show Trump dominating in key swing states, 74% in Arizona, 73% in Georgia, even taking the lead in Michigan. But here's what's really fascinating. A Minnesota Bakery's cookie poll, you heard that right, shows Trump leading 2-1. And remember, those organic indicators have historically been more accurate than mainstream polls. Now, while we're watching these poll numbers surge, smart money is making moves that tell an even bigger story. With our national debt surpassing $35 trillion, the U.S. is borrowing just to pay back the interest that we owe, furthering a deeper hole to climb out of. Meanwhile, gold has surpassed $2,400 an ounce. So if you have funds sitting in a low-interest bank account or 401k IRA retirement account, you need to call my friends at Global Gold Investments, America's leading conservative precious metals dealer, and receive absolutely free their new 2024 Protect Your Wealth and Retirement Guide. Call that number on the screen, 888-700-4148, and mention Next News and receive their 5-star customer treatment along with a complimentary portfolio analysis. Operators are standing by. That's the number on the screen, 888-700-4148, or visit IRAGoldproof.com. Remember, if you don't have gold, then you don't have wealth. Okay, now, if you all remember, the big narrative that was coming out prior to the Madison Square Garden rally for Trump was that Trump was hosting some kind of a Nazi rally, right? Well, what's interesting to note is that people are starting to flip the script on Kamala Harris, because now we're learning that Kamala Harris is delivering her campaign closing speech at the D.C. National Mall. And Liberalcrat put this tweet out 5 hours ago. You know who else held a rally there in 1924? The KKK. Well, guess what? Kamala Harris bussed all of her people in. Two can play at that game. Now, here's Charles Downs. He shows this massive line of buses outside of Kamala Harris' D.C. Ellipse rally entrance. When the mainstream media speaks about Kamala's crowd size, just know that it's fake. Let's watch this together.
What's up, everyone? I'm like 100 feet away from the entrance to Kamala Harris's big rally in D.C., and look what I found. Lines of buses. So when Kamala talks about her crowd being so large tonight, just know it's all fake. They were all bussed in. Let's take a walk. Look how long this bus line goes.
Look at that.
Just keeps going and going and going.
Wow.
I think they know they're busted.
Yeah, they're busted on.
Look, more buses. It doesn't stop. Keeps going. As you can hear, the Kamala drums are beating. Where did Kamala bus all these people in from? It looks like Export PA? I don't know. And as you can see, clearly marked. Nothing about Kamala is real, not even a crowd size. Stay tuned.
So, yeah, you saw that number on that bus. Every bus is numbered for a reason, because every person's assigned to a specific bus. Who knows where they're actually being bussed in from? They could all be like union people, or like, you know, who are supposed to just follow the rules with their union. Who knows? But Henry Enton posted this: "Don't count on polls underestimating Trump. No party's ever been underestimated in 3 presidential cycles." Let's listen to this.
You want to make the argument, because that's all we hear about. Oh, Donald Trump's going to outperform his polls. So I went back and checked out whether or not a party outran the polls 3 presidential election cycles in a row in the key battleground states. It's never happened. It's never happened. 0 times since 1972. So if the polls are going to underestimate Donald Trump once again, that would be historically unprecedented. Now, maybe you want to make the argument that Donald Trump himself is historically unprecedented, but what normally happens is the pollsters catch on. Hey, we're underestimating. We're not taking into account some part of the electorate. They make adjustments, and I think that helps to explain why we have never seen that the same party has been underestimated 3 times in a row in presidential elections, at least over the last 52 years.
Okay, so we have been reporting that, yes, Donald Trump traditionally underperforms in polls. CNN is trying to contradict that point. It's a point that Roger Stone has made repeatedly. So Who are you going to believe? Roger Stone or CNN? Here we have X polls showing that Donald Trump leads the presidential race by 79% after Elon Musk's endorsement. Trump has gained huge momentum. He only has to maintain it for the next few days. What does it mean for Bitcoin? I don't know. This is a great piece. Hulk Hogan's been hitting the stump for Trump, and it's been a beautiful thing to witness. And here's what he had to say on Fox News.
Texas, Rhode Island, Trump, pump on, dude. But the weird thing is, I've been going all over the country with Real American Beer, my brand new beer. And I wrote down a bunch of states I was at: Wisconsin, Ohio, Arkansas, Minnesota, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Illinois, Idaho, Nebraska, Michigan. And everywhere I've gone, thousands of people get in line to come meet and greet me. Everybody's for Trump. So I hear what you're saying about the polls, and it's even Steven, and it might be a close call, but let me tell you something. I don't believe the polls. It's going to be a landslide. Too big to rig, brother, is the theme here. And at the end of the day, all of America wants to get back to America. Not the way it used to be, but the way it should be, brother. Trump is on fire, and if you listen to where people are speaking from, especially the Democrats, if they say Trump was responsible for the border wall, it's them. If they say Trump was responsible for inflation, it's them. Because in the Bible, like I said before, if you listen to where people are speaking from, you know exactly who they are.
All right, so a couple of things. Trump set the tone, and I think it's the tone that you like. When he's at the Al Smith dinner, he noticed that Kamala Harris has white people for this, black people for this, Hispanic people for this. Trump thought that was something he should point out on Thursday night. Watch.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
So is that the type of humor that people like? Is that why he's getting so much of the man vote?
Brother, that dinner wasn't a campaign agenda. That dinner was fun, tongue-in-cheek. It's bipartisan. It was for everybody to have fun and make fun of each other. And for Kamala to pull a no-show, I mean, everybody was upset because everybody's been going to this thing for years and years and years. And it's just levity. It's just lighten up the mood and have fun. So, I mean, it was funny. Donald Trump is quick on his feet, man. He can pivot. He's all smoke and mirrors. But when it comes down to business, he's a businessman. Like that economic forum where he schooled that guy who didn't know a thing about tariffs. Trump's been doing this all of it. Yes, thank you. Bloomberg. Trump's been doing this all of his life. And that's what America needs. Somebody put this country back on track. We want God in our homes and in our schools and in our country. We basically want safety. We want basically to have, great lives, and we want to be able to economically afford to live a good life and take care of our children. Trump is all about that. Everything I hear on the other side that's supposed to be hope and happy, it all sounds like doom and gloom to me.
Right, and you're like Trump in this. You have your focus, you have your career, but you also, I don't know if you heard, but Trump's selling sneakers, he's selling watches. You got that beer shirt on. How did this come to be? And how did you realize there was a lane? Because one thing about wrestling, you guys sell all the time. Right, you're selling the match, you're selling the tickets, and now you're selling the beer.
Got Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer here, and it all started with a conversation in the dressing room because I didn't want to get beat up too bad. So I'd always have my opponent talk to my opponent, said, hey, let's talk the match over with a beer and take it easy on me. So when I saw that the neighbors didn't talk, the Republicans and Democrats didn't talk, I thought if we had Americans beer, Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer, we could bring the country back together.
Bring the country back together one beer at a time. That's funny. Harris is no longer up in the polls. Trump is leading in the polls and markets. This is big. Real Clear Politics betting average is just over 60% there. Heltronic says the polls underestimated Trump in 2016 and 2020. The money flows. Keep moving towards Trump while the polls and the media say razor tight. If the data below is even close, this race won't be close. The latest swing state odds is got Arizona at 74% Trump, Georgia 73% for Trump, Wisconsin at 59% for Trump. New York Post is reporting that polls show Trump taking 4 swing states, winning the Electoral College. Now remember, I'm reporting these polls, and my buddy Tom's like, Gary, listen, I love you. I love what you're doing. I love how you're getting all the energy up for these polls, but don't get complacent. don't, give people this idea that, oh, the polls are all there and the polls are all positive. So, people might think, oh, well, I don't need to go out and vote. Well, you need to vote. Okay. So just because we're reporting on all this good news from the polls doesn't mean we should just get complacent. All right. A Minnesota bakery in Red Wing has been conducting a cookie poll between Trump and Kamala Harris for the last 11 weeks. Current standings have Trump at plus 31 points, Trump at 5,900 to Harris at 3,100. Here is Eric Daugherty, 8 hours ago. Final electoral map based on Atlas Intel polls. Most accurate pollster of the 2020 election shows Trump at 296 electoral votes, Harris at 242. Look at that sea of red on that map. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And while all this is happening, speaking of having a beer to unite the country, Kamala Harris had this cringe moment with Gretchen Whitmer where they decided to act like a couple of dudes and go drink a beer together.
It's an over. Aren't you kind of more of a wine person?
What are you having, Madam Vice President?
I am having what she's having. It's an Oberon, and it's made right here in Kalamazoo, which many are calling Kamalazoo. Yeah. Cheers. Okay, cheers.
She didn't even drink it. She didn't even drink it.
And I mean, it's and you know what I think of it
Cringe.
Yeah.
Just pure cringe right there from the Kamala Harris campaign trying to act relatable. What else is interesting is, Chris Cuomo, he's no friend of us. He's no friend of Donald Trump, but he's really having, I'm not sure if this is real or if this is some manufactured revelation he's having, but Tim Young posted that Chris Cuomo gets it, and this is wild to watch. The tide is turning. Listen to what Chris Cuomo had to say.
To demean. You got to stop thinking that the people who support Trump are like Trump, that they speak like Trump, that they act like Trump. They don't. They want to hire Trump to do a dirty job. They want him to be a virus to the political corpus. They want him to disrupt, to destroy, to demean those that they disrespect and dislike, the system that they distrust and despise. They want someone to do what they believe has been done to them and that they cannot do themselves. That's why they don't care that he exhibits terrible behavior, because they're putting him into a terrible place. If you're sending somebody into the jungle, do you really care if they're a savage? You see what I'm saying? And you have to understand it that way. You may not agree, you may not accept, you may not like, but that's what it is.
Oh, wow. Chris Cuomo having a serious revelation there. More on this. Zach Voorhees posted this picture. He's the Google whistleblower. Trump at 66% and Polymarket to Harris at 33%. Ollie London also posting, you heard about this, Washington Post subscribers, 200,000 of them unsubscribe since the newspaper said it wouldn't be endorsing Kamala Harris. Well, they didn't say, they just wouldn't be endorsing anybody, but of course that's by default, they're not endorsing Harris. The newspaper has seen a flurry of subscriber cancellations after the paper's owner, Jeff Bezos, stepped in to block the newspaper from making an endorsement. So people are having serious meltdowns. I read one post that there was like 6,000 comments, all from subscribers who were furious that they wouldn't be making an endorsement. Rasmussen reports, what's your impression of Kamala Harris? Democrats, 19% unfavorable. Independents, 58% unfavorable. GOP, 79% unfavorable. The average is 51% of voters believe that she is unfavorable viewing her. Another bombshell Wisconsin poll by Insider Advantage. Trump is up 49 to 48. And of course, this is interesting too. MAGA Resource posting that the heart of America is speaking. Just witnessed something that moved me to tears. Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The Amish are turning out to vote. I've got chills. seeing this. Scott Presler and his team have been working tirelessly, and today we saw the fruits of that. Elon Musk tweeting 12 hours ago, the Republican lead in North Carolina almost doubled from yesterday. Rumor has it the Kamala campaign is shifting resources to shore up Virginia, which means they're worried about losing Virginia. Betting odds have the opportunity to do so. The funniest thing, moving it up to 66 to 33%. Pennsylvania voter registration data from the last week just came in. Republican registrations exceed Democrats by 85%. This is Pennsylvania, according to Elon Musk, 36,507 registration up over Democrats' 19,000. And that is, of course, a direct result of Scott Presler's work. I believe that. Interactive Polls has a 55% chance of Trump winning, with electoral votes at 271 to 267. Swing state win possibility showing Trump in nearly every single category. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Nevada. They are showing Wisconsin and Michigan going for Harris, 51 and 53%. Polymarket house odds, Republicans winning 51%. So much news is happening. Of course, don't let all this positive news with these polls make you complacent. You got to get out. You got to have your vote counted. You have your voice heard. Your vote is your voice. And right now, our voices need to be screaming that we want Donald Trump in the White House where he rightfully belongs. And in the meantime, Kamala Harris is going to keep inflating her value by busting in voters and having the fake news media continue to prop her up. So here we go. So Atlas Intel, the most accurate pollster of 2020, is now projecting 296 electoral votes for Trump. The mainstream polls tried to convince you this would be close, but the real numbers tell a different story. Even their own internal polling must be showing the same thing. So just look at the Washington Post, refusing to endorse Harris. So my question for you is, why do you think the mainstream media keeps pushing the razor-tight race narrative when all the indicators show otherwise? Drop a comment below.